Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and I have the COO, Chief Operating Officer of Gravestone Films, also the associate producer on an independent film that Gravestone Films came out with, Samhain. He also played Will in the movie. His name is Carl Miller. Hello, Carl. How are you doing?
Hey there. Why do I feel like we should have some wrestling intro music when you say those names?
I know, right? I just have that feeling. I know this is the first interview I believe I did it on. I kind of tested it with Tony, but I didn't go nearly as long doing the whole welcome thing. I like that from Busted Open. Thought it would be kind of cool. So I
like that.
Yeah. So I have a couple of questions, about maybe 12 of them or so. The first one I have is, how did you first find out and then later get involved with Samhain?
Well, I've done some extra work, and that was kind of just something I like to do on the side, try and find little extra roles. And my buddy Charlie, who had done some stuff with me, he saw the posting on Facebook about auditions and et cetera, et cetera. So he told me about it. I was staying in the loop. But then apparently I had a chance to go cross country, help a friend move, so I wasn't able to be in town for the auditions. And I know you reached out to me, and I was a little apprehensive because I didn't feel like I fit any of the roles. But I remember asking you about, this might be going way back, but about behind the scenes stuff. But that's kind of how I kind of got involved with Samhain. It worked out that way.
Right.
Samhain, sorry.
I know. It was funny because I'll actually tell a little story first. When it was the executive team originally when Gravestone first started, well, back in June 23rd, 2018. And the executive team was me, Ben, and Scott Yagalinsky. And I said, and we were thinking of a first project we should do, and I'm like a title and everything. We had kind of a plot and everything, which was kind of similar to what we have here. But I'm like, we need to think of a title, and I came up with. I said, how about Samhain? And yeah, he goes, Sam what? I'm like, Samhain. He's like, do you mean Samhain? I'm like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I think I mean Samhain. He's like, it's pronounced Samhain. I'm like, not in Halloween 1 and 2. He goes, watch Halloween 3, because Donald Pleasance doesn't know how to pronounce it. Halloween 3, they say it correctly. But yeah, so and then I asked you to be involved as, an associate producer, to help out on set and everything, and you were awesome to do that. And then I know I first offered you the role of Will. That was really the only character we needed to kind of get filled, and that role was it was like a curse for us. Every time we would cast somebody in that role and then they would drop out of doing it. It's like, why? It's such a small role. Why are you dropping it? And we ended up getting I don't know if you were trying to get out of it or you didn't want to do it at first, but it was like I know that you're like, how old is this character? He seems like he's supposed to be young, and and I'm like, well, maybe 30, my age or so, and you're like, all right, I mean, it's not that far from me, so we can make you look younger. So we got you to do the role of Will, and then obviously you also were the associate producer for the film. But so what? I guess what finally made you decide to accept the role of Will? What made you decide to accept the role? Let's put it that way.
Well, like I said, I only did a couple small extra roles.
Right.
Non-speaking. I have no problem taking direction, moving around, whatever. But when I read about Will, and I'm like, okay, that's a speaking role. I'm like, I don't know if I'm brave enough to attempt that. But then finally, I guess, got a little more confidence because I had been discussing with you about the script, and it felt like a really good team. So I'm like, you know what? Got to keep pushing myself. Let's do it.
Right.
And that's when I went for it.
Right, and it's funny because a lot of people, I think everybody on set didn't really have experience, whether it was acting or behind the scenes. And like you said, you were nervous about the speaking role. And then I know Crystal Kapuznik, she was our boom mic operator. She also voiced the role of Dr. Baker in a voiceover scene for the one phone answering message. And she said, I never thought in my wildest dreams I would even do a speaking role on camera, let alone do a boom mic operator. This is one thing I could knock off the bucket list. I'm like, you and all of us, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And it's a dream come true. Like we saw the premiere, we saw it on the big screen. It was really awesome. Like, it's going to be in a couple of theaters. We'll get into those areas at the end of the interview of where you could see it for those that want to see it. But just, I mean, in 3 months and a $0 budget, we made a full feature film, and not a lot of people can say that.
No, definitely.
Yeah. So, what was your most memorable moment while filming Samhain?
The most memorable one, and honestly, I've always thought back to this day. It was the day we had the all-day shoot.
Mm-hmm.
We were there early tonight because we got to be like a big family.
Mm-hmm.
I got, especially you and Amanda, I've gotten very close with.
Right.
We're working closer together now, and I don't know, just being a part of that, it just felt great. It was a fun day. It was long and busy. We were on that schedule, trying to stick by it, but that was probably the most memorable time I have because, it just was a great day. Just being with all you guys and accomplishing what we were doing.
Right, and also where you got to hold my hand when I was going on that high beam. Oh my God!
Oh yeah, that was the day of the hike.
Yes. Terrified of heights, and they always say you can conquer your fears by by doing the fear. Like, do it and then you can conquer it. Didn't work.
Yeah. What was it in between the day and the evening shots? We went up in fractal down that mountain and checked out some of the old like train ruins and
right.
Who was it? Yeah, I think it was Yags. He took us along the top of that concrete thing, and that's when I learned you had a very bad fear of heights.
Yep, exactly. And I think that would be like, because for those that don't know that are listening to this at the premiere, and it was announced on their Facebook pages after the premiere ended, but Samhain's is given a sequel, and it's going to be titled Samhain: A Festival to Die For. And I was thinking using some of those like locations down there to do like a like the some of the flashback scenes when we get more into Relic's backstory about him escaping from the Skook Asylum and everything. I think that would be a kind of a nice location.
Oh yeah, that actually would be
a
great option.
Yeah, I know Brett was talking about that. I forget what it was. It was like, it looks like a building, and he said it looks like it's been lit up a bunch of times, like on fire and everything. He said you could probably set that thing on fire, have a couple of fire extinguishers, and he could just jump right through it, and that's him escaping the Skook Asylum, and it's already in ruins. Which would be pretty cool. I can see Brett doing it, and he wouldn't have no issues doing that stunt either. He wouldn't even want to wear a fire suit.
Yeah, I know.
So, what was the best part about filming Samhain, and what was the worst?
Well, actually, the best part was just being able to have so much input.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you say it? Some associate producers behind the scenes, they have their jobs managing the script and stuff, but with us, you kind of really welcomed me in, and I had a lot of thoughts and suggestions, and that was probably the best part about filming, was being such a big inclusion in the higher stuff. Like I said, even the all day scene, I felt like I was right up there, like I was director myself, and got to do some special effects, and that it really expanded my horizons. It opened my eyes to some of my more talents that I didn't realize I had and had interest in.
Exactly.
The worst was probably maybe not actually getting to be the director. I'm sometimes a backseat driver when it comes to a lot of things.
Right.
And there were certain moments where I'm like, no, we really should do it this way, but
right. Yes, and that's the thing. Like, having a director, like, obviously, like, even though I own the company, like, I took a back seat to the director, because that's why I hired a director. If I didn't hire a director and I was going to make all the shots, why didn't I just direct? You know what I mean? So obviously Gabby was involved before you were, but that's why you coming into it, you were not even an executive. We didn't even have we didn't have any thoughts of you even becoming an executive. Like, we didn't have any plans on that at all. But then you really showed what you're capable of and how you stepped up, and we made you the chief operating officer for a reason, because you showed, just as an associate producer, you were able to, still do directorial, directorial tasks, and you were able to manage, and you showed like how well you are at understanding this stuff and how you can get it done. and like you stepped up in so many ways. And I think as a team, you, me, Amanda, Shane, we all are great together, and we work well together. And like, yeah, we'll have disagreements here and there, but that's where we get all of our good ideas, because the disagreements turn into compromises that become amazing, ideas and scripts and thoughts and plots and everything.
That's the key word, compromise.
It-
I've noticed since we've been working together,
yep.
we might be butting heads on stuff, but it's not okay. It's my way or the highway, or
Right.
it's hey, how can we get the best of both worlds?
Right, and I know,
You know,
right, and a lot of people like say, like, Scotty, you're the owner, aren't you the one that like gets the final say on everything? I'm like, I do, but I don't want it that way. I want us all to compromise on something that makes us all happy. Because what's the point of working on a project if somebody didn't like something and they were shot down immediately, and they're going to be working on it and be miserable? Like, then you're not going to get a good product because they're miserable on doing something that they didn't really get any input on. Like, I want everybody, at least the executive team, to compromise on it. Like, our cast and crew, they have to do what is being told by us, but I want all of us to compromise on it, so we can make sure that whatever we have going on, it benefits everybody, and everybody's happy with the final product that we're going to be putting out there.
right? And that could be part of maybe the worst about filming Samhain for me too was there was, you know, your hands were tied. There was contracts in place on
Yep.
jobs we hired, and there were some issues at times with maybe someone in decision making status, that it was their way or the highway.
Yeah.
And so that that kind of put a little hindrance on some things too. But
Exactly.
we learn from our mistakes. We know what choices now to make, and we know who's working together, and that's what's moving forward for an even better product.
Exactly, and I interviewed Tommy McLaughlin. He was the director of Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, and I think I told you this story already. I'll tell everybody else if they didn't listen to that interview. But he asked me how my movie was doing and everything, because he sees it on my Facebook, and I told him and everything, and I said I mean, we made some mistakes, but I mean, and it's not the best movie out there. I mean, it's not Hollywood status, but it's really good for a 3-month no budget movie, and it's actually not that bad. And he said, you know what I tell everybody when they ask me what my favorite movie is? And I said, what? He goes, the next one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You can say
Yep,
that.
yep, and that's really a good inspirational takeaway from that interview, because it really is. Like, first of all, it was our first ever movie. We never made a movie before. Like, not the company. I mean, it is the company's first movie, but I mean, anybody that was associated with the project never made a movie before.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot to learn.
yes, exactly. And now this question, for those that want to see Samhain and haven't seen it yet, this is a spoiler alert question. You are about to be spoiled about something in the movie. I don't know how Amanda will feel about me spoiling something, but I am allowed to do it. But it is a spoiler question that I want to let everybody know. If you don't want to hear anything that's spoiled, I would say go maybe then fast forward to like 3 minutes of this interview. But so we want to know, how was your death scene prepped and filmed? Because we did get some good feedback during the premiere of the blood and gore that scene actually had from those in attendance. So can you walk us through on how they made everything go the way it did?
Well, thanks for spoiling for me. I didn't realize I died. The day we were filming my death scene, I remember we did have a time constraint, but we had kind of it all planned out. I know Brett was a big who. Between him, you were there too.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, you got injured that day. But
I did. I got a rusty I got a rusty fence in my ribs.
We went over the script, our scene on how it was played out,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of was able to run with it. Hey, because he's I guess practiced in the stunt era and done a lot of. He's very active, so I let him run with it, and I told him, I'm not afraid to get hurt. Let's try and make it as real as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of played out each part. We just did slow motion. Say, okay, I'm here, Brett, and you're here, and we practiced to try and get the timing right. And then when it came for the death, we had to actually film stop, and then right before the knife was going up through me, we had to fill my mouth, with fake blood, and it was, well, there was Alka-Seltzer in my mouth, and a big thing of fake blood that was made from dish soap and a bunch of other stuff. So it didn't taste the greatest. But the only thing going through my head was, we only have one shot. Don't mess this up. Don't mess this up. So I waited for action, and I gave a little bit, and I just let it flow. And it actually came out pretty cool.
Yeah.
The fight scene, that was my first real, like I said, doing something like this. And I probably would have wanted to do a couple more takes, but I think it wasn't too bad. But a little secret, and I'm not sure if you remember, we had the fake knife. Like you said, it was a low or no budget film, so we had to work with what we could and do the best with it. Well, the fake knife was retractable. And every time Brett and I would act out the scene where I'd stab him and he'd grab the knife off me, the blade kept breaking.
I remember that.
Like pop off, so we'd have to stop, fix the knife, and try it again. And there's some good bloopers because I kept laughing every time the knife would totally break.
And for those that want to see said bloopers and all the other bloopers we got, they will be on the DVD. And at the end of this, I'll tell you when and where you can get the DVD as well to see the bloopers. But yeah, the scene looked really good, and it was funny because I know we have one shot, and I don't think it made the movie if I'm not mistaken, for obvious reasons. But you can see like the blade like coming out, and it might have originally made the movie, but I think we had to cut a little bit more in editing. But like you can see the like blade like go out of your chin.
Yeah. But, and you know what though?
Yep.
For the low budget movie we did, there's a lot of people out there that enjoy that kind of stuff. Like, they know it's our first movie, it's a cheesy movie, but let's make the best with the story. And I know I will go on, Amazon Prime, and I will pick a movie that might never ever been heard of, low budget, and I'll enjoy it. Like, I'll appreciate it for how they made it. And there's a lot of people out there who love that kind of stuff.
Right. Exactly. Like even Thanksgiving, like such a horrible movie with the very bad CGI turkey, but it works. Like it's low budget, and there is a cult following for horribly bad, low budget, no budget, independently made fan films.
I mean, you'll have some people who only want to see Hollywood productions, but for everybody else, I only have one question: are you not entertained?
Right.
If it's cheesy, did you still get entertained? And that's, if I'm entertained, I still appreciate the movie.
Exactly. And like even Halloween, now it's a Hollywood movie, but when it first started, it was an independent film. It was a low budget, no budget independent film.
Yeah.
Like even $300,000 that they had to make it, like that's still literally a low budget, no budget film, because that sounds like a lot of money. I wish I had that much money, but it still is not a lot. It's still not a lot of money to make a movie, because you got to pay your cast and crew, you got to buy all the equipment, you got to do this, that, and the other, and it does. I mean, for this movie alone, it cost me over $6,000 of my own cash. Like, and I'm not getting any of that money back, because anything we make from the movie is going right into to our company.
Yeah.
So like I spent about $6,000 on the movie of my own cash, and that's a lot of money to me, let alone $300,000. But they got Mustafa Akkad to invest in that, but still.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's still $6,000, and we were able to make what we did and do it in 3 months. Imagine doing that with Halloween, with $300,000, and they still have editing issues. Like I love the scene when Michael is looking outside the bush, and then he goes away, and he goes up towards the bush, and he's seen John Carpenter's cigarette smoke coming out of the bush. Like just things like that it's cool. Like people look for that, and they like that about a movie. They like to see, can I find a continuity error?
Yeah, and really, until you're either, if you ever get the chance to be in a movie, that's so awesome. But even until you're behind the scenes of a movie, you don't realize how much is involved, and it's an art form.
It is.
I love it. I love every second of it, and I love the rest of our cast and crew, because we all worked for free to get us somewhere. I couldn't have asked for better people to work with. Right,
and it really was. It was great, and like they say movie magic. It really is movie magic. It really is. Like you can't tell. You can't even believe how hard it is to make a movie. Like everybody says, "Oh, that movie sucked." Like, how can they be, they should be ashamed of themselves. No, how about you get off your ass and try to make a movie and get people that are willing to work for free, and get the money to make, to make this movie, and let's see how good of a job you can do doing it. Because I guarantee
Yeah.
you, most will quit because it really is hard. And there were
Yeah.
times that Amanda and myself, like, we all wanted to walk off set because it got frustrating, especially those long days where we had to be on set for 7, 8 in the morning, and we didn't get done till midnight.
I like the old days, but I didn't like the earlies.
Yeah. Yep. We would the original plan was to do Saturdays in the evenings because most people worked Monday, so we would they would be off Sunday, so we would do Saturday nights, and then we would do Sundays during during the day, and we did that right in the beginning a little bit, but then it's a Halloween type of movie, so we need the fall time. So as the closer it got to getting that when fall was getting close to being over, we had to double up on some Saturdays to do day shoots, night shoots, day shoot, night shoots, and then we take a break for lunch, and then we take we finished as much as we can for the day scenes. I know the fight scene we had at the Northwood Park with the four nerds and Brett. And that was they were amazing scenes, but
Yeah.
we were very close. It was almost getting dark out, and we were running out of daytime, and we were like, okay, we gotta stop screwing around, we gotta hurry up and get this shit finished, because if we don't, we're gonna be screwed. Like, we're literally gonna be screwed because we're gonna run out of daytime, and we can't film it at night. It's a day scene, because when you edit it, you're gonna see the next scene's gonna be another day scene, so it wouldn't make sense continuity wise if the sun is going down.
Yeah, definitely.
There's so much planning and thinking involved with it, like, because you have to think, what's the next scene? Is the next scene the day? Is the next scene the night? Because even if you're filming out of order, in editing wise, if it looks like it's nighttime, or the sun is setting, but then the scene after that is pure daytime, it's not right. Oh my god!
Definitely.
I think
we
go
threw
ahead.
together a lot of last minute stuff with planning scenes and scheduling pretty
Yeah.
darn good. I know.
Yeah.
Even while there was a lot of important, like, even legal stuff you were handling,
Yep.
and me with the script trying to figure out, okay, when are we doing this? Amanda, my gosh, she was like a wizard with, hey, okay, well, how about if we do this and this and this,
Right.
and we go to you, and you're like, perfect,
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and things happen unexpectedly. I had Shane interviewed a couple of months ago, and he spoke about his injury. He had a real life injury on set. He tore his meniscus.
Yep.
So Gabby, our director, and Sarah and Abby, they all took Shane home because they all live in the same area. And it was late at night. I mean, I think it was the last scene we were actually going to shoot that day. Right? We might have had the ending of the movie we were going to shoot as well. I don't remember. But anyways, I had instead of me going home at 10 o'clock at night, I had to go follow them to St. Clair because I had to take Shane his injury waiver paper, say you signed this, and I had to fill out all these legal documents to make sure he won't sue us.
Yeah.
So he's like, I wouldn't sue you even if I didn't sign it. I'm like, yeah, I know you wouldn't, but it's safety first.
I would hope not. You aren't exact.
I know,
exec
exactly.
Shane, so.
Exactly. So the next question I do got for you, so let's see. So we know that Samhain is our first full feature film, and with that being our first feature comes some errors and mistakes that we make and learn not to make them in the future films. So based on filming Samhain, what are some mistakes that you would like to use as a learning point when filming our next two feature-length films, Killer Party and Samhain, A Festival to Die For?
Are you saying I make mistakes? No, I think, well, I think the main thing would be, I would like to, what really taught me was patience.
Mm-hmm.
We, when it comes to scenes, it's better to have more film of nothing than not enough film.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's an issue that we did notice we had, especially in editing. There was some stuff we were like, oh, what do we have to work with? We should have got more on this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the biggest one.
Right.
Just taking our time, getting some more footage. If I could, I'd have the camera rolling nonstop just to catch anything that we could use.
Right.
But yeah, and I'd like to do more of. To me, it's about showing the story
Mm-hmm.
and not necessarily telling the story.
Right.
And I think with us all being so new in Samhain,
Mm-hmm.
we were all focused on, what are our lines? What are our lines? And
Right.
I wanna work more towards just naturality and
Right.
that.
Yeah, and I think a big issue on Samhain, especially now, we didn't perfect it even to this date, and I would like us to eventually perfect it because it would be something that would be good for night scenes. Is lighting.
Yeah, yeah,
Like we used a lot of natural light, which is like, oh great, we use natural light, it's gonna look more authentic. But then when you're watching it, it's like it could be kind of hard to see what's going on. So it's
yeah.
like,
We learned in editing too.
yep,
It's easier to have it too bright and make it dark,
mm-hmm.
because once it's too dark, you really can't make it brighter.
Exactly, exactly, and like even camera angles, having multiple camera angles, that would be a good thing to have as well. Like
Oh,
just little things like that would be something that that we can improve on, not just future films, but just like learning experiences to take away from from making something more like to get the audience more into it and give them more footage to look at, more different viewpoints, whether it's the POV shot or a wide angle or something.
yeah, and that kind of goes with how I want to be able to show the story. You
Right.
know,
Yep.
that's the way in my heart. Just say the word camera angles.
Exactly. So we do know you'll be making your directorial debut with Killer Party, and you're also writing that film. This is going to be the second full feature that Gravestone will have to offer. So can you tell us a bit about what Killer Party is going to be about?
Okay, well, I still got to say it's called Killer Party right now. I'm still kind of shooting out ideas. I'm not fully sure if the name fully fits what we're trying to achieve. I guess as we get closer to the final script, but um,
Hmm.
rough idea. I'm kind of basing it off of everything that's going on right now with the pandemic, um, but I'm making it on a little more of a horror sci-fi kind of end, where the virus that's going around is a lot more rough. It's a lot
Hmm.
more fatal, and the government is imposing a mandatory stay-at-home order where everything except for hospitals, everyone has to be in their home, and a group of friends decide, hey, it's getting a little sketchy. This is getting scary. Let's take off. Let's get out of town. They decide to go to this spot they know about deep in the woods, and they're gonna have just an awesome weekend, party, camp, get away from it all until it's time to come out.
Hmm.
Well, little do they know, one of them is infected, and they don't even realize it, and chaos ensues. It starts showing symptoms, and without divulging, they're kind of stuck out there and have to survive and try and find their way out while dealing with their own conflicts.
Yeah.
Man against man, woman against woman, and I don't want to spill too much after that, but it's
Yeah.
going pretty good.
Exciting. That's exciting though. So at the premiere, it was also announced that not only Killer Party was going to be in the works for us, but another film that is going to be filming after that is a sequel to Samhain titled Samhain: A Festival to Die For, and I'm going to be writing that one. Of course, you're going to direct it. So what would you like to see added into Samhain: A Festival to Die For, that might have been left out or neglected to include during the making of Samhain?
Well, the first thing, which it's not that you didn't have it in the script, it just somehow got left out, was more character development. I know there was some other characters you had kind of had more info about
Yeah.
originally, and some choices were made, and beyond our control, they were left out of the movie. So I think I would like to see more character development for some of our main characters, get to know them a little bit more.
All
We've
right.
got a kind of a taste in Samhain, but I think with this next part, how everything is just kind of going to unleash, secrets are going to unfold, um, and the deaths. I want to show more detailed, uh, edge of your seat kind of deaths,
Yep.
whether it be with the effects or even do old school like Friday the 13th cutaway scenes where then you know what's happening and you see the blood splattering against the wall, or just to kind of keep everyone even more on edge.
Right.
I say that's what I'd like to see us do differently for Samhain too.
Right. So what I can say is that I am starting to write the script and more focusing on getting Samhain, ready for an Amazon Prime streaming release and DVD and all that stuff. But I do have the storyboard all written up. I have some of the script written, and I can say a lot of the deaths are very graphic in this one. It's definitely going to make the original look very very tame, which
Nice.
is exciting. Like there is a lot of graphic deaths in this, which is pretty cool.
And like we said, too, we learned a lot from making
Yes.
Samhain, whether it be just filming, scheduling, effects,
Mm-hmm.
scenes, and we're gonna bring on all the best crew that's gonna make the movie.
Yep.
And this one's gonna blow the other one out of the water. Samhain I think was great for what we had to work with, the time and the ability.
And the
It came
money.
out great, and Samhain 2, Festival of Die Force, is gonna even blow that out of the water.
Oh, I
People are
can't
gonna
wait.
love it.
I can't wait. So we do know that things can change. However, do you have a set timetable to tell our listeners about Killer Parties? So, for example, do you have like a rough estimate on when casting calls might be held, when filming might take place, a completed first or final draft of the script, etc.? Now you can just give like months or years or whatever, but like any like specific details that can kind of let everybody keep an eye out of when, like a rough estimate of when everything should be announced.
Sure. Well, right now I've been busy with I'm kind of starring in the newest Mission Impossible movie. So once we're done, no. Like you said, anything can change. But my personal goals is I would like the script to be finished by the end of October, beginning of November.
Okay.
Give us a chance to review, final approve it, and do any final editing or changing. Have that all done before 2020 is over.
Mm-hmm.
And early spring, if everything's all set in place with all that, then location scouting, and work on casting. My goal would, I would love it if we could start filming, by the end of May.
That'd be awesome.
So it's right now it's looking that's a good possibility for this timetable to happen.
Okay.
The script I've been writing, and then I go back and I'm like, oh, well, you know what? I want to add this and make this better, and then I change this. So I'm kind of going ahead and then coming back and going ahead. But it's coming along good. It's
Right.
coming along good.
And go ahead.
I think Killer Party will be, whether we keep the name or change it, whatever. I think this will be a movie also that's gonna make Gravestone very well known. I really have a good hopes for this.
I'm so glad to hear that. And it's funny because I remember Killer Party was kind of just a joke, really. Like it was more of me sending Amanda a voice message, and I'm like, hey. What do you think about making a movie where where people get this deadly virus and they go into the woods to quarantine and they or something like that, and they basically get they end up dying one by one, and we call it Killer Party because it's going to be a party that you're going to die at or something. And she's like, oh my god, I love that. And then like we got you involved, and like you we wanted you to direct, obviously, so you directed this, and we got you wanted to write it, so we're like, yeah, have fun with it, make it your own, and you wrote it, and yeah, it's exciting. It's gonna be a great movie. I really do have high hopes for this as well. I really do see it being definitely one of the like a killer film, pun intended.
Yeah. And for the listeners out there, like it's not just going to be your typical, oh, they go out in the woods, they start dying and fight. No, it's going to have so much more. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen. So what kind of vibe are you aiming for with Killer Party? Like, what kind of atmosphere? What kind of like setting? Like, are you looking at dark and creepy and scary? Are you looking more at suspenseful action and adventure? Or like, what are you looking at for Killer Party in terms of the atmosphere and vibing?
Well, my goal with Killer Party is, have you seen the movie 28 Days Later?
No, you wanted to kill me when you stepped over my house last weekend.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, for those who've seen that movie, the kind of suspense that's in that. Now, it's a scary one. People get this virus comes out, and they get this incredible like rage, and it's all through the city of London and stuff. but it's not just your typical gore and blah. They have a lot of suspense, and that's what I want with Killer Party. Like I said, I call it a suspense thriller with the taste of fear and blood. It's about survival and everyday life meets total change, and that's where I'm going with that. Cillian Murphy stars in 28 Hours Later, and just his portrayal of going through the whole thing is just kind of the vibe I want to go for.
Nice. So, like, would I be right or wrong when I say that this movie would, like, if there's people out there that are afraid of horror films, like somebody that would never go see a Samhain, a Festival to Die For, would this be a movie for them to also see, or would this be like a Stay Away is still a horror based film, or is this more of a suspense drama, mindfuck type of movie?
Well, there is going to be some a little bit of gore. There's going to be some spots that might gross some people out, but there's a lot of story with it.
Okay.
So I mean, if they're going to get scared, my goal is to still have them scared.
Right. Sounds good.
Give it a try. If you don't like movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre that are blah blah blah, you might like this one then, because it's
right.
Similar reactions but different style.
Right, that's kind of where I was getting at it. Like people that don't like a Friday the 13th or a Samhain type of slasher horror type movie. This one's more of a mind fuck in a way, more of, I guess you would say, a drama thriller. It's basically got a lot of dramas wrapped into one.
Yeah, because even with Killer Party, the way I'm writing it could technically happen.
Right.
It's not something that couldn't happen, so that's kind of also gives it a little bit of a scare.
Right. Now, is this any is this going to be like any relation to like a Cabin Fever?
I guess the only similarities really are they went out into the woods to a cabin, not really to quarantine or anything. They were just going to party. This group of friends have a purpose of why they're leaving town. They're going out there, and stuff just happens, and it's scary, you know, and. So I did like the movie Cabin Fever. I won't lie, I love that movie.
It actually is a good movie. I did see that one a long time ago, but I did see that one.
And I love the forest. I love being out in the woods. I love camping. So I'm kind of using some of my own interests to feed off of with this. Right.
And for everybody that is wondering why I'm asking these questions, it isn't just for you, the listeners. I'm kind of trying to get some insight as well, because I'm not writing the script, so I don't know anything about it yet. So I really don't.
I gave you a little taste, but then I'm making everybody else wait.
Yes, exactly. I only saw like maybe 2 or 3 pages at most, maybe.
Yeah.
If that.
Just to kind of quench your thirst and be like, hey, it is going.
Yep. Especially, I mean, and a lot of people like that's like, I know Amanda gets sometimes annoyed by it, and you might as well, and Shane might. Like, I always try to make decisions on and all the time, without really getting people the way I word things. And it's I'm not trying to be controlling and trying to say it's happening and your opinion don't matter. It's more of I'm trying to be a boss and trying to make sure that everything is going the way it is going, kind of on schedule. Because if I didn't, and say nothing's getting worked on and I don't know about it, and I'm not getting any updates, it's okay, what do I tell people that are asking Gravestone Films or asking me, when is Killer Party coming out, or when is Samhain Festival to Die For, kind of get that insight for them, kind of just being a boss, basically trying to keep the ball rolling and trying to see where we're at with things. I don't want to see the whole script. I just kind of get a taste, see where things are kind of falling into place.
Yeah, and what I've noticed about you is you're a doer.
Yep.
I'm writing the script for Killer Party, so you might have other things that you want to tackle, like the DVD box art for Samhain, or events, promotions. So you're always going to have decisions and questions for us, and when we get ahead of ourselves, you'll tell us. When you get ahead of yourself, we tell you, hey,
Amanda has no problem saying that. She's like, we have and I'll just say this because I'm going to be mentioning it in Tyler's interview on Saturday. But just to let everybody know that we are working on a short fan film. Can't say anything about it. But I can say that we are working on a short fan film that is going to be in between these projects. It's not going to be anything that will be in theaters or on DVD or anything like that. It's just something short that we're going to do to keep our fans and our followers kind of updated on what we're doing and give them a little quench of some things that from our cast and crew. so they know what's going on. But anyways, yeah, like, so yeah, while we're like, I don't even know what my point was with that, but yeah, I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, I mean, when we're doing these short films and everything, like, yeah, that's it. Amanda was like, she's saying to me about, don't tell anybody. I know you want to tell them, but you could start working on the poster
Yeah.
for it. But it's like, I'm like, yeah, exactly, like, because she knows that would be something I would go and do, because when I am excited, I want to put it out there for everybody else to be a part of. But as an owner of a company and also with an executive team who also has equal say, it's one of those things that I can't just blow it out there, especially because we're under an NDA clause.
And a while ago, we had a lot going on because we were getting ready for the Samhain premiere. We kept getting delayed, so there was a lot going on. Before we had the exec chat, there was a funny little kind of joke between me and Amanda where, depending on what we were doing, she would go to me, okay, you're on Scotty duty this week. Any questions he has, you handle them. Or I'd be like, all right, Amanda, you're on Scotty duty today. I got stuff to do.
But oh my god, that premiere was so hard. Like, it was so time consuming. It was so exhausting, so stressful. It was probably the most exhaustful thing I've ever had to put together, and it was really, 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 really bad. It came out really good, and it was amazing. I did great doing my opening and closing speeches. The red carpet premiere went amazing. The showing went well. We sold a crap ton of merchandise, but it was very stressful putting together a full feature premiere, and it was supposed to happen in March, then May, then June, then July, and it finally happened in July. But
it finally happened. I was glad.
I was too, and you were even like, we were all getting really depressed. We all were getting depressed because it's like we want Samhain to have that. We want to have that chapter closed, not forgotten, but closed. And to get that closure is to get that premiere, so all of the cast and crew and their friends and family can come and enjoy all the hard work we put into this movie. The blood, literally the blood, literally the sweat, literally the tears. Like, it was, when we say the blood, the sweat, and the tears, like, it's literal. And I think most of the blood was mine.
Yeah, I'd say so. Thankfully for David Furman being on site a lot of times with his first aid kit.
Yes, he was definitely a good medic. He stitched me up, but he really rubbing alcohol on my ribs that I scratched with a rusty fence. He's like, it's a scratch. It's no bigger than a paper cut. Let's see. So I guess to give everyone an insight of what kind of director you're going to be, what would your main focal points be in directing both Killer Party and Samhain: A Festival to Die For?
I'd have to say my big focal point will be on point of view. Mm-hmm. I want to be the type of director that makes the audience feel what the characters are feeling. Mm-hmm. I want them to not just see, but also feel. I want them to be in their shoes, and that's the kind of direction I plan on going. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of directors I've seen kind of use that, and it really was always my favorite. Mm-hmm. We'll have obviously regular shots too, but I just think it adds so much more. Mm-hmm. You connect with the characters, you fall in love with them, you hate them, and that's what I think will really make our movies connect out there.
Right. And I love when you can have a character that you love, and when they're killed off, you literally feel the pain, like you lost a loved one, and it's just a fictional character. And one good example of that is in Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, when Tina's mom, Mrs. Shepard, Amanda Shepard, was killed off. Thank you, Dr. Cruz, Terry Kaiser, who I did interview, but he held her as like a human shield. And just seeing her getting that brush hook right through her, like, when I first saw that, like, I felt like I lost my best friend, like I lost a mother. Like, I loved that character. Like, Susan Blue played that character amazingly. Like, you felt you loved that mom. All she wanted to do was help her daughter, and she didn't do anything really wrong. Like, she didn't do anything that would warrant Jason to kill her. And she got killed off, and the fact that she got killed off, it hit me hard. And that was good script writing from the script writer writing the character, good acting from the actress herself, and good directing on the director John Carl Buechler for telling her how to play this role and exactly how to portray Amanda Shepherd so it comes off when she acts it comes off sympathetic and lovable by the fans.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's something that, like, I mean, especially even in Samhain, like the first one, like, I mean, everybody hated Regina, but other people loved Regina because they loved the
Yeah.
snarky bitchiness. But then some people just thought she was a pain in the ass. And I'm not gonna spoil anything, and I'm not saying if she lives or dies, but what I can say is that like, just, I don't know how to describe it. Like, just when, I guess when ever something bad were to happen to her, they're like they would cheer, they would be happy because they didn't like her. She's a horrible character. The same thing for Benji. Benji's a dick. Like, and the fact that Regina's a dick, like, we kind of go into her backstory, and we don't dive into it much, but we dive into her backstory a little bit, on why she hates Halloween and why she is a bitch to her son and to his friends, and why she is like, and we kind of get why she hates Benji, and Benji does all this stuff to make her hate him, and like, it really is a complicated relationship, but it's really cool. Like, I think that character development was really good.
Yeah, I actually cried when Will died. I had a strong connection with Will, and that
I bet
I teared up when he died.
So do you plan on I know you have a couple kids, so you plan on showing your kids the movie anytime?
Oh yeah, they'll watch it. Yeah.
Nice.
When I was a kid, I always loved horror, so.
Yeah, I did too. I think the first movie I saw was Friday the 13th Part 7, and I believe I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I have a lot. I'm really close friends with a lot of horror actors and actresses, mainly from the Friday the 13th franchise, and one of them I'm really, really, really close with is Lar Park Lincoln, and she played Tina Shepard, the lady with telekinesis in Part 7, and I'm really good friends with her, and she yelled at me because I watched the movie at like 6 or 7 years old, and she would never let her kids watch it until they were like 14, 15 years old. But yeah.
When I was a kid, and I'm talking young, I got to see Friday the 13th,
Mm-hmm.
one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original.
Nice.
My stepdad's aunt would always let me borrow her VHSs, so she had a huge horror collection. But funny story, when I was a kid, me and my friends, we would always play Friday the 13th.
Nice.
And it was just so fun. My one friend Jen, her older brother, would be Jason all the time, and we'd be hiding and trying not to get killed, and I'd always get killed. But I was terrified of Freddy. I was terrified.
Nice.
But my trick when you were little,
Yep.
you think, okay, you don't. What happens when you're scared of the killers in the movie? You get killed.
Right.
So Freddy comes to your dreams. So I'd always be like, yeah, Freddy, get him, Freddy. I'd be like Freddy's best friend. He's not gonna kill me if I'm his best friend. So I would always I'd always root for Freddy so that he wouldn't come kill me when I was like 7.
Nice. I have actually 2 funny stories of kind of scary when you're young, though. One of them is kind of scary when you're young. The other one is more of embarrassing. But I'll tell the scary one first. I know when I was younger, it was Friday the 13th. It was a thunderstorm outside, and it was night. And they had a Friday the 13th marathon on. And I was watching it, and my mom and dad were home, but they were in the bedroom and everything, and I was watching it in the living room. And this is when my parents actually liked horror movies, or they didn't mind me watching them, I should say. I was watching Friday the 13th marathon, and right as Jason turned off the power in the movie, our power went out at the same exact time. I was freaking out so bad. I ran. I'm like, Daddy, 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 Daddy. He's like, what? What's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, Jason's here. He turned the power out.
That is funny.
I'm like, what are the freaking odds of that? Another one is funny that is kind of related to your story. Me and my cousin Derek always played Friday the 13th when we were younger. And one scene, like, I ended up getting killed, and I got like a knife in the back or something or other, and I fell down, and I fell on my back. and then he got like stabbed in the stomach or whatever, or it might have been the back. I don't remember, but he got stabbed and he fell right on top of me, like I was like leaning like horizontally, and he fell on top of me like sideways. And as he fell right on my stomach, I farted so loud.
Oh.
And we still talk about that all the time of how funny that was. Like, that is just a funny, memorable moment, and it was really, really great. Like, it really was a funny time. Like, it was just something we still talk about to this day. Like, do you remember when I knocked the fart out of you? And I'm like, yeah. Remember remember when you tackled Prince, who was my nana's German Shepherd?
Well, another movie I really liked was Child's Play, and
Nice.
I got to listen to the podcast you have with Alex Vincent on.
Yeah.
He is awesome, because even to this day he sounds very down to earth.
Yes.
He had his time in film. He's still producing music, and he's still looking forward to possible more film options.
Right.
I think he's great. Shout out to you, Alex Vincent. But when we were kids and Child's Play came out, my two best friends, my neighbors Andy and Lauren, Lauren had a My Buddy doll.
Ooh.
And to us it looked like Chucky back then. So what we would do, we would always hide the thing in random places in her room to scare the crap out of her.
Oh my God.
She'd open up her closet, and there'd be My Buddy, Chucky.
Nice. For those that actually did listen to the Alex Vincent interview, I know you said you listened to it. I told a story about how me and where I got my little cousin when she was like maybe 4 or 5 or something or other, and I told her, "Do you want to watch Toy Story?" And I sat her down, and we watched. I put on Chucky, and she could not sleep for a long time. And it was funny because karma got me. I got scared of it, and I was afraid of Chucky for years after that. Because I never saw the movie neither. I just knew it was a scary movie about a killer doll, so I just told her it was Toy Story because I wanted to scare her. Well, it scared her, but it scared me too. Oh my God, I was terrified. For every time I would go into frickin' Spencer's, I'd be seeing Chucky dolls screaming.
Yep.
Oh my God, that was horrifying. You go ahead.
I actually have a little twist, because
Okay.
you're used to asking the questions, but I actually have a couple questions for you.
Oh, okay.
That maybe your viewers or listeners would like to hear.
Okay.
So, can I ask you something?
Yeah, sure. Go
A
ahead.
couple? All right. So, you do podcasts. You've written books. What made you decide to say, hey, I want to get into film?
I've always wanted to get into film. Even as a kid, I always wanted to be a school teacher or an actor. The only reason why I didn't get into film, and the reason why I didn't go to college for film and television, and actually went to school for web development, which is totally different, was because I didn't want to move to LA because I was afraid of flying. I was afraid of earthquakes, and I just didn't want to move to LA. That was the main reason why I didn't do that. But I always wanted to be an actor, and I figured. And then it was funny because when I got my first book written back in 2016, February 2016, it was the Ultimate Friday the 13th trivia book. Was the first one I wrote, and I was a guest on. Oh, sorry, it's late. You know me, I go to sleep early. But my first book was out, and I was appearing on my 11th grade high school English teacher's is a movie review show as a guest to promote it. And it was called Klimchak's Killer Collection. His name is Charlie Rice, but his pen name was Chaz Klimchak. And after we did that and everything, he asked me, he said, after we filmed it and everything, I was all fascinated by it and everything. I'm like, I always wanted to go into acting and filmmaking. I never did it because I didn't want to move to LA. He's like, well, I own Trash TV Streaming. I don't know where I think he got the name because everything on TV is trash or something like that. I don't know. But he's like, let's go. He said, I own the company Trash TV Streaming, and it films right in here. We do movie reviews and all that stuff, and eventually we'd like to go into movies and that. So long story short, he asked me if I wanted to join. So that's where I ended up meeting Ben Craig, which we with Scott Yagelinski, we got into Gravestone. But then we end up having I got Scott Yagelinski to work with Mr. Rice too, and I filmed about five or six of the episodes, like all the Once Upon a Time seasons. I filmed of my reviews. I was able to branch them out into a full season after I ended up leaving there, because me and Mr. Rice, or Mr. Klimchak, whatever you want to call him, ended up getting on a major disagreement, because we were filming in his attic studio. It was the middle of the summer. It was like 200 degrees out, and the freaking curtains wouldn't stay up with the sticky tape. So he made me go to buy more sticky tape at the dollar store. I did, and they were all sold out. And he had a freaking rant and a bitch moment, like bitching at me about, you need to get these sticky tapes, we need to film this, yada yada yada. So I had enough of it and I quit. And then Yags is like, Scotty, he's like, why would you do that? You got us involved, now you're just bailing? I'm like, yeah, I couldn't handle his bipolar anymore, or whatever. And he ended up this is a long answer to a question, but anyways, he ended up treating Yags and Ben Craig the same way, and they ended up quitting. And then maybe I'd say 6 months later, well, no, about a year later, because it was a little less than a year, because it was the following June. This was in July or August, so it was the next June. I reached out to Yags and I reached out to Ben Craig, and I'm like, hey guys, what do you think about starting up our own little production company? We did, and Yags came up with the name of Gravestone Films for us. And then I registered it, and things went from there. And I mean, it was great. Like, I mean, everything happens for a reason. It's funny, Mr. Rice now lives in Seattle, Washington, and there's like a gang that's going on over there that basically has some type of name similar to his, that we like have an inside joke that, like, is he running this gang or whatever. But he ended up leaving Schuylkill County because he blames me, Yags, and Ben Craig for ruining his reputation.
Oh, that sounds like a scary movie plot line in the beginning.
I know. Almost even better yet, he's an English teacher. He was best friends with the German teacher, right? But here he had a major falling out with him in the middle of class, during one of his classes. Like, he started screaming at him in the middle of classes because they had differing political views, and security had to escort him out. They had to give him a psych evaluation test. They gave him the test, and he ended up failing or something. He ended up getting fired from his teaching job, and he moved to Seattle. So yeah, it can make for a psychological thriller.
We'll put a pin in that one for a possible brainstorm session.
Exactly.
Okay. I only have a very small couple questions, so don't worry.
Okay.
But now I'm sure almost all of your interviews were great.
Yeah.
I've listened to quite a few of them, and they are enjoyable.
Yeah.
But out of all the interviews you've done, is there one specific interview or even a top three that you really enjoyed the most? Like, were there any guests that the interview really moved you, or you just felt like, wow, that was a great interview?
I'll answer this in two parts. One answer for each part. So the first part is favorite, best interview in terms of questions, in terms of their answers, in terms of how the flow of things went. And I would have to say Christine Elise, who played Kyle in Friday the 13th. I mean, not Friday the 13th, in Child's Play 2. She was really great. Everything really went well with that. And she actually is the reason why I got Alex Vincent, because they're really close friends. So it was really great to interview her. That was I really recommend listening to that interview. It was really good. She talked about like the puppeteering of Chucky and how everything was. It was just a great interview. In terms of childhood fan favorite and an interview that I was like very excited about, and an interview that I was it was a dream come true, I would have to say Terry Kaiser. Which I'm a little upset that like the first maybe 2 or 3 minutes of the interview was like, you can hear me but you can't hear him, because it was my first interview with my new microphone and I didn't have the settings properly set. So like you can't hear his answers for the first 2 or 3 minutes, but then you can hear everything perfectly. But that was I've always loved Dr. Cruz in Friday the 13th Part 7. He also played Bernie in Weekend at Bernie's. And
that's right.
Yes, and I always love that. I love that interview. Like he went into details. I asked him if he had a stunt double for when he was getting ready to film his death scene, and Jason threw him back, and he's like, no, they couldn't afford a death scene. He said, and they had like alligator and they had crocodile and rattlesnake wranglers because they were filming in the middle of a swamp, and they couldn't afford any other locations, and they couldn't afford stunt doubles to do all the scenes. So when he had to do that stunt scene and get thrown back, he fell right on top of a crocodile, and the wrangler had to help get him.
Do we have any budget for rattlesnake wranglers for our movie?
I hope so.
Well, you messed up that interview with your microphones. Now it's my show. No. So you're a horror movie guy also.
Yes.
Think of all the death scenes in different movies that you might have seen.
Okay.
If you were to die in a horror movie, one, how would you want to be killed? And what way would you definitely not want to be killed?
Whew, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Let me think. How long?
I'm gonna tell you mine then too. That would just so we can even up with that one.
Okay. Let me think. That's a tough one. Oh my god. Actually, you know what? I would hate to die this way in real life, but it was actually a freaking badass death scene. I'm gonna actually pick two answers for that one. And they're both from Friday the 13th, believe it or not. I mean, yeah, obviously you believe that's one of my favorite franchises. I would have to say the sleeping bag kill in Part 7. And
really?
Yeah, I love that scene. I love that death.
Oh my gosh, you're brutal.
I know. Oh, it gets even worse. I like the Jason X liquid nitrogen scene.
Oh, the face in the liquid nitrogen?
Yep, and then broken like glass on the countertop. I would love that to happen to me in a movie.
Be quick at least.
Yeah, I would love that to happen to me in a movie. And the sleeping bag would be cool too. What I would not want to happen to me, let me think. I actually think in the reboot, 2009 Friday the 13th, I would not like to be hung, put in another sleeping bag, and hung over a campfire and basically get smoke inhalation and basically be toasted like a marshmallow over an open campfire.
Oh, I didn't think of that one. That's a good one. Yeah, burning. Yeah.
Yep. like when you're in a fire, you die. When you're in a fire, you die, quickly because of smoke inhalation. Like you don't get burned really, but that scene you're getting burned and you're suffocating. Like you're getting double dose.
Okay, well, for the way I would pick to die, would have to be pretty much any of like Jason's beheadings. Boom. Nice, swift, quick. That's fine. Get me over with.
Yeah.
Way I would not want to die. Okay, pretty much any way in any of the movie Saw movies.
Yeah.
None of those, but they don't count. It would be. I'm pretty sure it was Sleepaway Camp 2.
Okay.
Where Angela drowned the girl in the porta potty. She was trying.
Oh yes. Yep. That was part 2. Yep.
But also, I wouldn't want to be cooked either. But going on of what I was thinking, I would not want that death.
Oh, that's
disgusting. That
was disgusting, and you had like what were they, leeches or something going on her face? Oh, that was horrible.
Yeah, leeches and
yeah.
Oh
yeah, I wouldn't be able to deal with that. Yeah, that was I can't even I could barely clean a bathroom or let alone getting dunked in a porta potty that's dirty and leech infested. Oh yeah, good point.
Only two more questions.
Sounds good.
Questions, I'm done. So you've been given an elephant. Okay.
Okay.
You can't give it away. And you can't sell it. What would you do with it?
I'm confused.
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
It's a random question. No right or wrong answer.
Oh. I was like, what?
The real final question was, you kind of dived into it a little bit, but this is something I'm personally curious about. I don't think I've ever asked you. But I know Samhain started originally as the web series, and the whole idea kind of didn't go that way, but the whole idea of father turned killer clown escaping, psychiatric treatment, returning to kill his family, that's pretty detailed of a storyline.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that idea? I mean, it might have been a couple of years, but that whole process, the whole idea of Relic, and I know how you got the name Relic.
Right.
But overall, that whole plot, like, what popped into your heads? Like, how did that come about?
So when me, Yags, and Ben Craig were storyboarding, we came up with just, a killer clown, Halloween, Festival of Samhain type, and they said, Scotty, you're the writer, write a script. I'm like, okay. So I wrote a script. I just brainstormed a little bit, just thought of different plots, and I use things for inspiration. I don't steal content because I'm not a plagiarist and I don't want to get in trouble unless it's like a fan film where where we can do it and put on YouTube or whatever. But I end up using Halloween as a reference because it's kind of similar, right? Like there's a lot of the movie. There's a lot of plot points and pinpoints from Halloween, the Halloween franchise, and not just the first one, but like various of them. But Halloween was my main source of like coming up with a main story because it really makes sense. Like if you look at Relic, he's wearing a Michael Myers jumpsuit. It's just not a trademarked one because he never wears green in the movies.
Well, yeah. Plus, also, having no budget, you kind of have to go with whatever.
Right.
You might have designed that totally different
if we had a budget.
budget.
Originally, Relic was gonna wear a full flesh skin clown bodysuit.
Okay.
And it was like very thin and very clear. And originally Ben Craig was going to be the killer, not Brett. So imagine Ben Craig doing it, or imagine Brett Harris doing it, wearing this like very clear bodysuit where you can basically see underneath it and through it. But the only thing covering his dingleberries is a big clown face.
Oh my gosh.
That was the original thing, and like during the interview with me, Yags, Shane, and Tyler on Tony's podcast, we really dived into that discussion. And Tony's like, because Tony was an executive later on as we started filming, him and Nikolai, and Tony's like, this isn't gonna happen. We're not putting Ben in this freaking suit. He said this might be a horror movie, but I will probably kill myself for real. But yeah, so that's kind of where I kind of just was a writer. Like you're a really good friend of mine, and you told me about you're honest with me. You're blunt, but you're not rude. You're honest. Because you want me to succeed, obviously, and we want each other to succeed. And one thing you tell me all the time about my script, especially with the short, and you noticed it in Sound, is I don't dumb things down a bit. I give words that characters will never say. That is the writer in me, because as an author, we are supposed to use those type of words. So that's why they gave me the job to screenwrite it, because I'm an author and I knew what to do. And I used my knowledge of being an author and being a storyteller to kind of come up with that. Now, I used Halloween as a background of it, but I mean, Michael Myers didn't escape the asylum to come after his daughter and estranged wife, and he didn't have a daughter and estranged wife. And like he came after a sister that wasn't found out till the sequel. But I mean, there's a backstory of what happened to Relic on why he is Relic, but before he was Justin Freed. Why did he turn into this clown? What happened in his childhood? What happened to his daughter that kind of goes into the sequel? Like there's a bunch of different play points that is very specific that really you only think of when you're brainstorming and storytellers can really come up with.
And I could like watching that, I could see the reference and influence Halloween had. Yeah. But it's totally its own direction.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's something totally different with how character development and plot, all that went.
Right.
So definitely still original.
Exactly. I agree completely. Any more questions before I ask the last one?
Before you ask the last one, because I'm a funny guy.
Yep.
I like to put bloopers in. I have one little quip, and then you can roll just to
Sounds
leave
good.
your listeners with this little humorous ditty. Okay.
Sounds good.
So listen closely. All right. So there's a new doctor, and he can't find a job in any hospital anywhere. So he opens a clinic and puts a sign outside that reads, "Get treatment for $20. If you're not cured, you get back $100." So there's this American lawyer, and he thinks, wow, this is a great opportunity to earn $100. He goes to the clinic. The lawyer says, hey, I lost my sense of taste. So the new doctor goes, hey, nurse, bring me medicine from box number 22 and put 3 drops in the patient's mouth. The lawyer's like, oh, this is kerosene. Doctor says, congrats, your sense of taste is restored. Now give me $20. So the lawyer goes back after a few days to recover his money. He's a little angry. Lawyer goes, I've lost my memory and I can't remember anything. So the doctor says, hey nurse, bring me medicine from box number 22 and put 3 drops in his mouth. Annoyed, the lawyer's like, yo, this is kerosene. You gave this to me last time for restoring my taste. Doctor says, congrats, you got your memory back. Give me $20. The fuming lawyer pays him, but then he comes back a week later, determined to get his $100 back. The lawyer says, my eyesight has become very weak and I can't see at all. The doctor says, well, I don't have any medicine for that, so take this $100. The lawyer stares at the bill and he says, but this is 20, not 100. Doctor says, congrats, your eyesight is restored. Give me $20. The end.
Nice. That's awesome. I thought you were going to go in a different direction, be like, hey, and you were going to be like, hey, nurse, take off your top or something like that.
No. just a little funny.
That's funny. That's great. So the last question.
What you got to do the final confrontation?
So the last question I got for you. Now I didn't write this one down. This one I came up with, earlier, and I couldn't find my pen, and I already had it printed out. So I have to think of a way to word this properly, but it shouldn't be that hard. But anyways, what horror movie or slasher film kind of got you into being a horror fanatic? What started the whole Carl Miller is a horror fan? Back when what inspired you, I should say.
Well, I think as cliche as it is, we talked a little bit about it, but it would have to be Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Just the whole some parts what's gonna happen, but you still want to be scared.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
When I was younger, like I said, we used to imitate the scenes and stuff as kids and just to have an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since I saw those movies, I just wanted more and more. I mean, you got Critters, you got Gremlins that are kind of comedy horror, Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I love them.
Right.
Hellraiser, and it just kept flowing.
Yep.
That was the big one though.
Yeah.
That's movies of my time. I was born in '81, so.
Right. Yeah, and I know that for example, at the Sound premiere, everybody knew. I'm not gonna say the scene or anything because I don't want to spoil it. But there's a certain scene when Relic's gonna be jumping out somewhere. You just know it. And you know what scene I'm talking about. But you know it. And I was watching it. When we were having the rap party. I seen Kyle jump out to that scene so I knew that it was going to be a scene because if he gets scared, I know everybody's going to get scared because he doesn't like horror movies. So anybody that's going to be in a theater, they're going to get scared by it. And I knew everybody knows that Relic's going to jump out. You just don't know when and where and how. And then the scene gets closer and you know that he's going to jump out right there. The way he jumped out and the way it happened and the menacing version of it, I looked around once that scene was just about to happen around that whole theater, and the entire theater just jumped at the same frickin' time, and I loved it.
I did good, obviously, because I was there with Brett Relic the whole time behind the scenes while he's making funny faces and dancing around, so I'm like, okay, I can't be scared of this guy. I want to say one last thing about Killer Party. I hope all your listeners keep up with Gravestone on Facebook, follow the updates, because like I said, all the horror movies I loved when I was a kid that I didn't terrify me beyond belief, but I was scared. There was one. It was one of the Puppet Masters where the little drill head guy came up on the sky while he was sleeping and drilled into his skull. For some reason, 12 years old, that terrified me for months. And that's the effect I want Killer Party to have on the audience.
Nice.
Just that fear.
Nice. So anybody can go to our Facebook fan page, give us a like, give us a share, spread the word, www.facebook.com/Gravestone Films. You'll get updates on Samhain's release, and you'll get updates on Killer Party and when we start casting, and the same for Samhain, A Festival to Die For. And you can also like us on Twitter Follow us on Twitter, I should say, at www.twitter.com/gravestonefilm, no S included. My lawyers are still working on getting those jackasses that stole our name and linked to our Facebook account on their page. So we're still working on getting them to shut them down. And also, you can follow us on Instagram at Gravestone Films Prod. And also, just to let everybody know, Sound will be in select theaters. It'll be in the Majestic Theater on October 16th, 17th, 30th, and 31st, 2 Fridays, 2 Saturdays. 7 o'clock is when the movie is going to start. I would say get there by 6:15. If you're planning on going, tickets are available. You can go to Gravestone Films on Facebook, and we have an event page set up with the Majestic Theater in Pottsville where they will be where you'll be able to get your tickets through PayPal. Also, the plan currently is to be in Hazleton at the Cinema Draft House on October 19th. It's Monday. Right now, it's kind of up in the air because of the pandemic and because they are a restaurant. Their seating is limited. Like, we're allowed to have 100 people in the Majestic, but for this place, they only have 50 seats because a lot of it is a restaurant as well with big tables and that inside their theaters, so they can only allow 25, and they don't think they're going to make enough money just with our movie or any movie for that matter to open the doors, because they're going to spend more money on electric and on operating the food and the snacks and everything and the projector and everything, that like they might not even get their money back. They might be at a loss for the movies when they reopen, so they're waiting until they don't have any limitations, but they'll keep me updated. So you could follow us on Facebook and we'll give updates as they come along. Also, plan is for DVDs to be released on Amazon. We plan on that being October 23rd. And the same thing for you'll be able to stream it and buy it on Amazon Prime streaming on October 23rd. Those are the plans. Things can change depending on if Amazon gives us any hard times with cover art dimensions and captioning and all that stuff. And lastly, we are going to be at Creature Feature on October 17th. Some of the cast and crew are going to be at the Majestic that night. Some of the cast and crew are going to be at Creature Feature, which is going to be in Newville, Pennsylvania at the Cumberland Drive-In. Come on by. We plan on selling some DVDs, some T-shirts. You can get pictures with the cast and crew, get some autographs, mingle with us, have a good time. There's other vendors. I'm sure they'll be showing some movies, stuff like that. And also on September, I believe it's the 26th, Carl? Or 27th? 26th? It's that Saturday. We're going to be in Frackville, Pennsylvania. I think the only ones planning to be there right now is me, Amanda, and Carl. I might see if Skylar wants to show up as well. But Skylar and Crystal, if they want to show up, if that would be nice if they could. But we're not going to get a lot of cast and crew available for that. But we're going to be in Frackville, Pennsylvania. I do not know the details right now of where things are at. Don't know if you can announce any of that, Carl. Do you know anything else more than I do?
Not yet. Amanda's getting the details, but if they stay tuned to the Gravestone Facebook, definitely we'll have updates.
We'll have it. We'll have it on there. The plan is we're just going to sell some T-shirts. We're not going to sell any DVDs that night, but we're going to sell T-shirts. We're also going to sell T-shirts at the Majestic Theater, but only on the 16th. That's the only date at the Majestic we're going to sell T-shirts. So make sure you guys come on by, get your tickets, come by and get some merchandise, and meet the cast and crew. It'll be a great time. You do not want to miss Sound in theaters. If you do miss it in theaters, or even if you do see it in theaters and you want to get a DVD, we have a buttload of extra features. We have bloopers, behind the scenes, a music video. We have behind the scenes Benji infomercial that we did, an insult battle. We have the premiere red carpet and opening and closing speeches. We have everything you can think of on there. It's going to be great. I can't wait for everybody's thoughts on this movie. We worked so hard on it, 3 months, no budget, and a great movie. So definitely want to come out and see that.
I forgot to add too.
Yes.
We're working on also. Is it Indiegogo? Trying to get together an Indiegogo campaign
Yes.
for Killer Party.
It is already done.
How I said before about till you're behind the scenes.
Yes.
You don't realize just how amazing it is to see how movies made. Well, we're gonna have some great perks and different things in our Indiegogo once it kind of goes live. So stay tuned for that too.
Yep, we have Indiegogo already finished. It's just not live yet. We will be posting on our Facebook page once it is live. We have a ton of perks that you all are going to love that aren't just get a DVD, get a merchandise, get a shirt, whatever, get a name in the credit. You can actually be on set helping out make this movie. So definitely get your perks when they go live. All right, I guess that covers everything. I thank you so much, Carl, for joining me. I know it was kind of like pulling teeth to get you on until you listened to some of my stuff. I know you wanted to wait a little closer to Killer Party, but I mean, we can have you on again to promote that once that comes out as well. I usually don't do double interviews, but for you, I'll do it.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, I think that covers everything. I do thank you for your time. Thank you again, and I also want to thank you personally for everything you've done for Gravestone Films as COO, director, writer, whatever you have done for us. I truly appreciate it. It hasn't gone unnoticed.
It's great to be a part of this, and whoever out there is listening, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you tuning in, and keep listening to Slasher Scotty for
Thank
great
you.
interviews.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You have a great rest of your night.
Thanks.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.